tree collard. And the asparagus is blooming. I love that deep purple. I let these onions go to seed, or go to flower, so that I could fill this bed with onions and let it be a perennial bed. I think I need to pull and cut some more peppermint off this week to go on my desk at the office. And along with that peppermint, maybe I'll cut a little bit more a little more Mexican tarragon and some more lantana. Oh, and the first blossom this year on the butterfly bush, finally. You see all the little tiny ones that haven't bloomed yet. And of course, the lavender, as always, is absolutely stunning. This patty pan is, I'm going to say, about 4 feet tall. I put an old tent pole in there to help it grow upright instead of sprawling along the ground. And that stalk of corn is finally starting to catch up. We have 2 of them that are finally starting to tassel a bit, but no silks as of yet. And then have more squash growing along here. There's some underneath the corn. More along here and amongst the squash. I'm leaving it as a ground cover. This is one of the wild greens that grows here. And since it's edible, I'm going to leave it as a ground cover. Haven't been eating much of that. I actually, when it gets big, I trim it back by pulling some to feed the goats. But it does help immensely. Yeah. And here, so I'm going to have to pull it back here where it's coming in next to the cardoon. And wild amaranth. Been so blessed to have wild amaranth coming up everywhere. And here amongst the cardoon, in the middle of it, is some wild mustard. I've not been eating much of the wild mustard because it's a little spicier than Micah and I like. But here the wild mustard is going to seed again, which is just fine once I have sweeter greens again. And the wild amaranth is fairly sweet. Look at all those spires on the amaranth. Micah and I have been nibbling on the leaves of the amaranth. She was asking me last night if she could eat the flowers, and I told her to wait until they go to seed. The sunchokes are not getting as tall as I anticipated. Only maybe about, the tallest one's about 3.5 feet tall. I blame that on the desert heat. And there are dark clouds to the north of us. Hopefully some of it comes this direction. It's raining way out there on the mountains. Let's see if I can get some of that in. That's not focusing very well. Not much of a light show for the sunset this evening due to the heavy cloud cover. I can feel the moisture in the air. Folks here think that the humidity is high. There's more rain off to the east. On the mountains to the east. Hopefully it comes here. And people here think that the humidity is high when it is 15%. And I think today the humidity was between 25 and 30%. Let's see. There's some more wild amaranth coming up. Micah's bulbs that she planted. And these are just some bulbs we got at Dollar Tree, but they're starting to come up. She planted 6 in here, and we have 4 that have come up just within the last week. And more wild amaranth. I'm so blessed to have this. It's coming up around where there was an iris. This is from people who lived here far in the past. Well, not that far. Only about 15 or 20 years from what I've been told. And I sowed some flax along here, but I don't see that coming up yet. But the wild amaranth is everywhere. And there's some more wild mustard greens. The one bean that sprouted, I'm going to slowly train it over to the fence. I went and replanted more beans after that came up. They've not sprouted yet. And more wild amaranth. I love the spires that they make. And as much as the goats keep begging me to, I'm just refusing to pull this wildflower to feed it to them. I still need to do some research to see what this is. Such tiny, delicate leaves. And I think it's another wild edible. But before I allow Micah to eat any of it, I am going to do more investigation. The herb bed is growing. Mostly dill and borage. And these flowers are quite lovely. I hear something buzzing. I'll try not to disturb it. The squash is really loving the weather that we've been having. And I won't mind if the ground gets covered with squash along with the tomatoes. At some point I'm going to have to get something else in the ground too. Star, no. That brief interruption, I had to go check on the goats. They were getting into things, as goats will do. This sweet potato is from a sweet potato my sister had put in a glass. She just set it in a glass to get it away from her cat. And then she forgot about it, and it started sprouting. No water or anything. Just sweet potato. And this one is from some sweet potatoes that were in my house that I had in a bag, and so is this one. I had them in a bag, forgot to put them away in my potato bin. And the potatoes are still good, but they started sprouting. So I planted the sprouts. I've had several other things here, but I did not have these screens over them before. I'll put that back over there. And so some birds came and pulled everything out. But they didn't pull that squash, and so far they haven't pulled those sweet potatoes. And it wouldn't bother me so much if they were pulling them out to eat them. But they were pulling them out and throwing them on the ground. Just tossing them to the side. Let's see. And here's some more of the globe mallow, which, in addition to being quite lovely to look at, these flowers attract butterflies and bees. And the tomatoes. Where's my green tomato under there? Oh, I'm not seeing it today. Ah, there it is. It's up higher than I was looking. It's way up here. There we go. Oh, the sun golds are almost ripe. With that one, that green tomato I just showed you is a heat master. This is a heat master. These, see the birds that keep coming in here and digging. This little one is a tidy treat. Those are the sun golds. And those are some super marzanos. And I'm going to have to pick some squash tomorrow, it looks like. Yay. I'm anticipating that so much. And maybe soon we'll have some baby cantaloupes. That's pretty much it for tonight. The sage is doing better. The Thai basil is doing better. But it is getting dark. And I still haven't watered. Everybody have a blessed evening. Oh, and I forgot. The holy basil is finally coming up. Everyone be blessed.